Welcome back to another episode of Curveballs and Lemonade. I'm your host, Judy Kogan. Before I introduce today's guest, I do want to issue a trigger warning because the topic today is suicide. And I know that that's a sensitive topic for many of you listeners. So if you're not in the right space or place to listen today, I encourage you to come back another time. Today's guest is Anita Pressman. She's a veteran fitness and wellness professional based in Los Angeles with over 25 years of experience in the industry. Her holistic approach combines physical training with mental and emotional well-being, guided by her core belief that exercise is the best medicine. She views health as the ultimate wealth and advocates for a balanced lifestyle that includes regular exercise, proper nutrition, quality sleep, and mindfulness. Her training focuses on 4 pillars: core, balance, muscular strength, and flexibility. Anita is a New Yorker, so she's tough on the outside, but she's lived in LA long enough that she is really, really sweet on the inside. And I'm so excited for you to listen to her share her powerful story about the suicide of her loved one and how she navigated that loss and came out on the other side. Let's dive right in. Hi, Anita. Welcome to Curveballs and Lemonade.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for having me on today.
Oh, I'm so glad you're here. You know, when I first started doing this podcast, I knew that you were definitely somebody that I wanted to have on as a guest because you've had probably more curveballs than anyone I know in your life, right?
Yep, I'm a juggler and a counselor.
There's a long list there that you've had. And it actually took us kind of a minute to figure out, okay, which one are we going to talk about, right? But I felt strongly that there was one that sort of we landed on. And that's not to say that I probably want you to come back on and talk about some of the other curveballs you've had. But the one that we landed on, as I mentioned during the intro, is about a serious but a very important topic, which is the death of a loved one by suicide. And when we first met, I didn't know at the time, but you had just lost someone very important to you, Sean, by suicide. And before we get into that pretty serious curveball in your life, let's first talk about Sean, you know, who he was and the kind of person he was, and even touch upon, you know, what your relationship was.
He was probably one of the few men I met in my life who had the biggest heart, best personality, great conversationalist, warm. Oh God, he was talented. He was a singer. He was an editor, very creative, very smart, very funny. Everybody loved and adored him. And he would be the first one to help anyone out when they were in a crisis for, say, suicide. He would always say, please reach out if you're struggling. I'm here for everybody.
He really, you know, hearing that today and also what you've told me over the years about him, he really sounds like such an amazing, amazing person. So, let's get into what happened, you know, to him and when. So, can you kind of like walk me through? So, you were living in Los Angeles, and he was in Maui at the time. Is that right?
Of his passing?
Yes.
Yes. That was August of 2014. So almost 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And he did a Facebook blast. And at the time, we decided to unfriend each other because we were taking a break from our friendship because it was so painful for both of us. We both loved each other so much, but he, you know, the expression, wherever you go, there you are, or you think the grass is greener on the other side, but it's greener where you water your own lawn. He was just struggling. He was searching. I had seen a switch in his personality a few months before. He just said, I'm moving to Maui. Like, I just thought it was bizarre that he was just going to up and leave his job. He had a great career. And a few weeks into his,
I was
sorry,
just saying real quickly, was he from Maui or is
his
this a place that
mom's
he?
side was Hawaiian.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Yeah, so they're retired and live on the Big Island now.
Okay.
So we had even vacation to Hawaii. We went to all 4 islands. We had our faux wedding on each 4 islands. We had the cutest relationship. Like I said, he was my high school sweetheart that I never had. He was so tender, loving, caring, thoughtful, always showed up with a little special gift of some sort. Um, and it, interestingly enough, back then I was struggling from a car accident and I was in a lot of pain. He would come over and sing me to sleep every night, Neil Diamond
Oh,
songs. I mean, we had a lot of fun. We used to write songs together. We would just, it was very easy.
yeah. So you had mentioned that a couple months before his passing, you saw a change. Now,
A
as I un-
switch.
as I understood, and I don't know the answer to this, but he had struggled with addiction in his life, and he had been sober for many years.
No,
Um,
only a
oh,
year and a half from when I met him.
a year and a half.
A year,
Okay.
a year. And when we were together, it was just about a year.
Okay.
So,
So,
and some people may say that first year is easy. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, but I think he was struggling for sure.
okay. I see. So do you do you think that the change was sort of like the start of a relapse or just maybe another mental health
I
crisis?
definitely believe there was mental health.
Okay.
Yeah. I
Um,
saw that depression just literally kick him right where he stood at because I was like, this is not the same person I know. Something's going on. And myself, I come from a family of, there's a few people that struggle with mental illness. I'm very familiar with it.
yeah.
Um, so I get that when I get that feeling, it's like, feels like you're home, you're a product of your environment.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, there's something wrong. And
Okay.
even when he went to Maui, a week when he was in there, I just had an intuition, a feeling that something wasn't right. And he was saying how he's looking to take his life. He's so depressed. He made the biggest mistake of his life. And he was actually trying to make his way back here. And he
Mhm.
had a relapse because I spoke to him 2 nights before he was going to board a plane.
Wow. Okay.
They offered him
So,
his job back.
oh wow. So when you're saying he made a mistake and that was leaving LA and going to
Yes.
Maui,
He
that was the
realized
mistake.
that, wherever you go, there you are type of thing.
Yeah, and also, I mean, look, I do understand that when people are struggling, they sort of want to make a change, and sometimes the change of environment or is not an easy change, but it's sort of like it's accessible. Leave where you are, and maybe things will get better.
Hmm.
But it sounds like maybe that's what happened to him, and he got to Maui, and it wasn't the change that he thought he needed.
Not at all. He actually called me and said, he goes, here I am at the most beautiful place in the world, and I am at my worst
Oh.
mentally. Like, he was like, that's not what he had hoped for. And he was going to come back. And he
Okay.
regretted shipping his car there because he really thought he was going to stay and live a life there. But once he got there, everything just went south.
Now, how long? Okay, so he passed in August of 2014. So how long had he been there
I think
before
4 or 6 weeks. It wasn't long at all.
then? No, no, that's not long at all.
No.
Okay. Um, and in terms of like the sort of the relapse, like did you see him drinking or did you see him using or did he tell
Never,
you about it?
never, but he did tell me about it.
He told you. Okay.
Yeah.
And how do you think, like, what do you think that interplay was for him between like the relapse and the mental health crisis? Because they often go hand in hand, right?
Yes, they do. They do go hand in hand usually. And I think that he was struggling so much and he was in so much pain in his head. My take is he just kept pounding them and then took his life.
Yeah.
I don't know the toxology report, but there was alcohol. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So let's first, before we get to the actual passing, you had mentioned that he had done a Facebook blast that
Yeah, he wrote, I took that letter and half of my life in and out of therapy just to, get those tune-ups we need every now and then.
sure.
And I took the letter, I printed it out, and I showed my therapist at the time, and she goes, "This is the most beautiful suicide letter I ever read."
Oh my goodness.
Unfortunately, I don't have it anymore. It's like it just kind of vanished from my phone.
Okay.
But he said he blew it, and
Oh,
he said I blew it with my job, the love of my life, and I can't keep doing these things to myself and hurting people over and over again. He was very apologetic, and it was very scary because someone called me at 7 a.m. on a Monday. I'll never forget this. And she goes, "Check Sean's Facebook page." I go, "We're not friends. Tell me what's going on." And you never forget where you are. I'm like driving through getting my son McDonald's breakfast before school, like a good mama. Good train.
yes.
So,
Protein. It's okay. Anita,
I know.
protein.
And the hardest phone call I ever had to make was to call his mom on the Big Island, his family in the Big Island, and say, "Please check Facebook. I don't know what is written, but I heard it's not good." So, and she started to read it to me, and she goes, "I need to call the police right now." And
That was his mom or your friend?
no, that was, yeah, my friend called me, my friend Lisa, and then I proceeded and called his mom.
Okay.
And then under Facebook, like all the posting, like was like, "Oh, don't worry, he does this all the time and they'll find him." And I was like, no, I truly knew in my heart, I was in touch with him. People didn't realize that. And, yeah.
What,
So,
we'll get back to that in a second.
mhm,
Okay. So you understood there was a Facebook something that you couldn't access. You called his mom.
yeah.
Did you try calling him?
Oh, yeah. Everybody was calling him. It was just sent to voicemail.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you couldn't.
His phone turned off before he did it. Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened from there? Like
From
police
there, this was
involved?
on a Monday morning, and I call these people my first responders. These are my really close group of friends. My friend, I don't want to miss anyone because they were so special and they just showed up. Literally, my friend Ivy, Sonia, Tara, Jackie, and my friend Carol. That's like a sister to me. We just sat at my dining room table and we're just like waiting online for something to appear, like the whole day for 4 days. It was 4 days before they found his body.
Wow. What were those 4 days like for you? Did they, I mean, sounds like you have a really good group of a support system. Did they stay with you that whole time?
Nobody slept over, and my son at the time was 12 or 13, and I made sure he was with his dad because I just couldn't. I could barely talk. I could barely function. I didn't even know how to put one foot in front of the other or what to say at that time. I was just at a loss for words and anything. I didn't even know what was just like the worst thing that could ever happen. And I'm very familiar with grief. At the age of 8, I lost my best friend to cystic fibrosis. I lost my mom at a young age to brain cancer. I've lost many friends, and this one just shakes you like, rattles you badly.
Yeah. How did you get through those 4 days?
Honestly, I don't remember. It wasn't until a few years ago one of my friends, Carol, told me, she goes, "Do you remember I would come over every night and check in on you?" And I'm like, no, I
Yeah.
don't even remember. It's like such a dark time. But I do remember like people coming off, dropping off food. And, yeah, I could not have gotten through that time of my life without the kindness of the friendships I have.
Yeah.
And of course, my family that was calling every day from New York. All my cousins that reached out, everybody was wonderful, but no one knew what to do for me.
Yeah. Were you were you also in touch with people in Maui that were kind of on the
I was in
ground
touch with
searching?
police. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there was like I'm assuming there was like a missing person report filed and
Oh,
they
yes.
were trying to find him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And what was that like from LA? 'Cause I mean, it's not
Oh,
around the corner, that's for sure.
no, I was having some sort of comfort from his friends, but I knew in my heart that he was no longer with us. I knew from
Yeah.
that letter. It was not like I'm faking this boy crying wolf type of thing.
Yeah.
I knew it was the real deal. And I had spoken to him and he kept saying that he wants to do this. And prior to him moving, um, he would say, "Can I come over and talk to you?" And we would go for a walk and he would play his guitar and he goes, "You just took me out of a really bad headspace." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I was ready to kill myself." I'm just going to say it. That's what he would do. And I didn't even realize I was doing it. He goes, "You don't even know what you do for me." And yeah, so.
Well, just as a side note, that's the kind of person that you are. You're, even though you're a New Yorker, you have like the softest, most spiritual,
Aw.
kindest side to you with the most beautiful heart. So it's not surprising that you did that to him. But I'm sitting here thinking, what did you say to him? Immediately, like those 2 days before he went missing, like, what is it? And I'm not asking you as an expert because
Yeah,
like, I don't even think there is, unless you're a trained mental health professional,
right.
I don't even know how you would know what to say other than things like, I love you, you're loved, you matter. I mean, what do you say to someone, like
Oh,
that?
he was so excited to come back, go back to work. He really regretted having his car shipped, and I kind of told him, "Why are you doing that? This is just like a trial thing." He just thought he was gonna go for a few weeks and some magic would happen, and everything just went south. He got
Yeah.
more depressed, uh, and we even had spoke about, getting back together. But I said, "You really need to work a program,"
Yeah.
and I'm very familiar with these programs.
Yeah. And do you think he was willing to do that?
Oh yeah, I just think those before he left well, he never even left. I just think he just felt like he messed up badly and disappointed his friends, job, family, and he comes from a lovely family.
Yeah.
He grew up in Northern California.
Okay. Um, wow. Okay. So then how did you finally get the news about what had happened to him?
His brother called me.
And what did he say?
Yeah, he says, "Do you really want to know what happened and how he passed?" And I said yes. And yeah, it wasn't pleasant.
So they found him,
They
obviously.
found him after
Yeah.
4 days,
Okay.
yeah. But those 4 days were so crucial. And everybody's trying to get in contact with me because as if I knew anything and I didn't. And it was so, people were saying, "Oh, he does this all the time." I'm like, no, 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 no. He doesn't do this. This is real.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And it's just such
So
a hard, complex grief to grieve because it's shocking what it does to your nervous system. It's like, oof.
yeah, that was my first question is, I mean, obviously it comes in waves, but how do you even begin to grieve someone whose death comes with so many unanswered questions? I mean, obviously you knew, right? Because
Mm-hmm,
he told you, and there was the letter. So, and other people saying that this is what he does,
mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that there's still a ton of unanswered questions, right? So,
Yes. And I will tell you, I have two friends. I remember calling one up and I just said, "I can't take this pain anymore I'm in." It was so hurtful. Like, the only way I could describe it is like, imagine you're up in the air in a plane and you just walked out with no parachute and you're just grasping for answers or someone to catch you, someone to save you, someone to say it's okay. And I didn't have any of that. I was just like floating around, and I'm grateful that you decided to train with me 3 weeks after. I didn't even realize that. And it's people like you, the kindness of people. I'm sure you weren't training me for my skills at that moment because I could barely remember training you. But I know that
Oh,
you were such a good listener, and there are such beautiful people in this world. And then there's
yeah.
not. But I was
Yeah.
lucky to be surrounded by such great friendships out here.
And then what about telling your son? You mentioned you had a young son at the time.
I don't
You know,
honestly even remember telling him I'm trying that.
yeah. Well, I hear that a lot, right? I hear that, especially when there's like a traumatic loss. Any death is
Yeah.
traumatic, but especially one that, happens in such a, horrible way.
Hmm.
Um, I've heard a lot that there's like a blur, right? You're in a fog and there's
You
so
are.
many details. Like there's some things you remember, like you said, you remember where you were when you got the first phone call driving through
Hmm.
McDonald's, but then like probably everything else from there was a blur,
Yes.
right?
That's when it just went dark. Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
interesting. I will talk to him about it now as he's 24 years old.
Yeah.
And he says, I knew. So,
Yeah.
and I feel terrible that I had to spend a few years checked out emotionally, but I don't know. It was not easy. And, part of, and this is so important to, whatever faith you are, not that this will ever give closure, but to have a service. There was a service for him with his family on the main Oahu. And then his friends did something, uh, how can I say
Like in
this?
Maui.
No, they did something local at Palladino's. Everyone got together, his musician friends.
Okay.
So a bunch of people singing speeches that wasn't cutting it. And it wasn't until I said to one of my friends, I said, I don't know how I'm going to go on another day like this. And her and her other friend, they were like, we need to do something for Anita. So she's like, bring something over. It's a little spiritual, a little woo, but it kind of helped. Like my friend had a talking stick. She just pulled it out. And the funny thing is, Sean spoke so much that I ordered him a talking stick online and just things that would happen. So we all got a chance to just be in her garage in the driveway. We made a little fire, throwing little flowers in and just trying to have like a little symbolic ceremony. And you know what? That was so helpful. I got to talk to him. My two friends were like kind of yelling at him, but then they were nice to him. But it was so much needed. Like that was my funeral or service. And I didn't realize that's what I needed because after that, a lot of grief had lifted.
Yeah, certainly sounds like that's what your soul needed,
Yes.
to sort of process what had happened,
Mm-hmm.
say the things that you needed to say, do the things that you needed to do so
Mm-hmm.
that you could continue to move forward in your grief. Not that grief, ever leaves you, but just
Mm-mm.
so that you're able to move forward. Um, okay. So then after that day or night,
After that day, it's very interesting. Then I started really, I'm a fitness trainer, but right now I wear a lot more hats than I did. And Sean would always say to me every time we would work out, he goes, wow, you're not just a fitness trainer. He goes, you're so much more, but you don't even know it. And I kind of understood what he was saying. And after his passing, I got credentialed in Tai Chi, Gong, and then last year I did my 200 hours for yoga training, teacher training. So
oh
I'm
wow.
really about combining the mind and the body because emotions get stuck in the body, they get stored in the body, and we either can move them out through breath work or we can get sick. So I chose to live in love and not live in fear and anger.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I love that you did that for yourself too, because I know that you do that for so many of your clients. And he's right, you are so much more than a trainer. I mean, I can't even pronounce half of the things that you do, Anita.
I know. Thank you.
And it's a very long list. But I love that you found comfort in
Hmm.
seeking out those they're mindful. I mean, at the end of the day, they're mindfulness practices, right?
Absolutely. And staying present and not, thinking in the future, which is anxiety. When we're anxious, we're just thinking about things that may never even happen. So it's such a waste of an emotion. So I'm all about being present and living in
Yeah.
the now and enjoying every moment and being grateful.
Yeah. This is true, because even in the darkest of times, there's always stuff that we have
Absolutely.
to be grateful
Once you
for.
drop into a state of gratitude, it shifts the mind and you become a little more happy.
Yeah. So it's been 12 years.
Yeah.
You did a lot of things to heal your heart throughout that time, and then throughout the years. Is there anything, like, looking back, that you wish that you'd done differently? You-
Honestly, no, I have no regrets because I can actually say I was real authentic with him to the very end and honest, and no words were left unmentioned. If that's, yeah. I said everything I needed to say. That everyone says, do you, have any guilt? And I said, no, not at all. I was there for him in his darkest of
yeah.
times and I tried my best.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. It sounds like you there was really nothing left unsaid
No.
between you guys.
Yeah.
What about the distance though? Because that's a hard one, right? I mean, you being in LA and him being in Maui, the distance must have been hard though, right?
Yeah, but he was hopeful he was going to come back and turn his life around.
Yeah.
He was very hopeful. He
Had
had
he bought a plane ticket actually?
yes.
He did. He actually bought it. Okay.
He was ready. He was
Um,
done.
so what do you think so do you think that he bought the plane ticket and it was really like the relapse is what stopped him from getting to the point of making it back to LA?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably got the courage from whatever uh, drug, alcohol of choice. I think, I don't want to say what it was because I really don't know, but
Yeah.
it probably gave him the courage to do what he may have wanted to do, but I'm sure he regrets it. But, love is eternal. I feel his presence all the time. I always, there's a song that comes on my phone just randomly because I'm not good with electronics. And we had this running joke. He goes, I will never marry you until you can learn how to copy and paste. I mean, and this was 12 years ago. I am so not techie. I am still not techie. And that's why I'm here. But,
Well,
yeah, no, I feel like he's like a song will just come on or a screenshot or a picture of him will just appear. And I believe in that stuff.
yeah. Absolutely. And how has your relationship to his memory sort of changed over time? Do you feel like you remember him sort of exactly as he was in the good times?
Yes,
Yeah, you do.
always.
Yeah.
And I know he would want me to remember him that way. And I know he would want me to come here and talk about it and try to help others that might be struggling and put out that number. Is it 988 now if you're struggling or somebody's struggling?
Um, I should have looked that up, but we'll put it on the
Yeah, no,
social.
it's so
Yeah.
important because 80% of suicides are male. And that's a large number.
Yeah. That,
And in the younger generation, it's the third leading cause of death between the ages of 15 to 39. And that's a third.
wow. Yeah, it's staggering. I did look into it a little bit, and I was surprised to see that when you look at over the last 20 years, the numbers have increased. The numbers of deaths by suicide have increased over the last 20 years. I saw there was sort of like the last few years in which there was data, there was sort of a kind of like a plateau, if you will. And I don't have any data on it, but I'd like to think that the plateau that sort of arose around like 2023-ish, is that the pandemic really made mental health care accessible in a way that it wasn't as accessible, prior to the pandemic, when to seek out, help in person was, difficult, I think, for people, and also physically difficult, maybe shameful, but now, like, thankfully,
I
because
think
of
there's a
technology.
lots of PTSD. I feel it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Um, but the access, I don't think we're there yet with access to mental health care, but we're getting there. I feel like we're getting there. I definitely hear like commercials and see like advertisements for different online services.
And you
And
see celebrities taking their life who you think are very happy. And people are like the dancer from Ellen, I don't want to say
yeah,
his name. And that didn't surprise me because Sean was a performer. And I always say, look out for those happy ones. You know, the Smokey Robinson song, Tears of a Clown.
yeah,
Sometimes those people are struggling the most who are put on that joy and happiness.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Twitch, I think you're referring to. I honestly didn't know about him until after he took his own life. But you're right, though. All the videos that he ever
Always happy,
posted,
always
so
dancing.
happy and so talented and always happy, always smiling, always, yeah, you're right. And so I think that raises a good point, which is it's important to check in with your loved
Everyone.
ones, even if they don't seem like they're down,
Yes.
even if they seem that
Well,
they're happy. I do believe that we all have sort of a gut feeling or a sense, and I think it's good to try to tap into that. Um, Not all the time, but every now and then, so that, we can always make sure that the people around us are okay. And if not, we can at least try to point them in the right direction. Um, what would you say to someone whose partner or ex-partner was struggling with addiction, maybe, the beginning stages of a relapse, um, you know, maybe afraid of what might happen to them? Like, what advice would you have?
You keep your eye on that person and you get them help however you can. It's out there. Get them into treatment, even if you have to trick them into treatment. I hate to say it. I worked during the pandemic. I worked part-time in residential treatment. So
Yeah.
it's so important. Support and the
Yeah.
kindness of others. And
Yeah.
it's not an easy fix. You need a lot of support.
And it's out there too. So
More than ever right now.
you talked a little bit about this before, about how sort of how you turned Sean's death into something meaningful for you in terms of, helping others through your certifications and other things. Anything else that you would say how his death has changed the way that you show up for people in your life?
If I had compassion and kindness then, it's now 100 times more. I have just love for everybody, people that are homeless, in need, or in crisis. I don't like to see anyone struggle. We're all humans. And that's the bottom line.
And it's so true that you do acknowledge you did have huge compassion. I mean, I didn't know you before, but you have, from what I know of you, you're such a hugely compassionate person.
Yeah.
Um, how has um, how has his death sort of shaped other relationships in your life, like um,
Right.
no, not necessarily romantic ones, but like just
Yeah.
other people in your life that you have so much love for?
I learned not to let people take advantage of my kindness, I think, through what I've been through, because you can only give so much. And if people aren't willing to reciprocate or acknowledge that part of you, because
Yeah.
it's so easy and so simple. And we should all just know this. Like empathy goes so far. And it's very interesting. I was reading or listening to somebody saying our world is changing. It's all about AI and empathy. So who knew empathy was going to be like a wave coming through?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Whenever I'm
Um,
talking to someone who's struggling, I will visualize myself in their shoes, literally. So that's where my compassion has always been. I don't,
yeah.
I go there and imagine what they must be thinking or going through.
Yeah. And that allows you to help them
Hmm.
in a way that you might not otherwise have been able to. You talked a little bit about working in the rehab
Hmm.
during the pandemic. Was that your first time working in a rehab facility?
Hmm. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Um,
It was like 2 years of college psychology. I loved it.
yeah. And what did you love about it?
I'm always about what makes people tick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I love people. I love humans. And I just I'm a big observer of people. And, I don't know. I just like when, you can get someone who's not having a good day and you can get them smiling and laughing, whatever, whether it's a joke or, hey, let's go for a walk, or just like trying to pull people out of when they're
Yeah.
struggling a bit.
During the time that you were there, were you channeling Sean at all? How much were you thinking about him during the time that you spent working there?
Honestly, I didn't even think about him at all. I just felt like this is what I needed to do.
Wow.
And I
Okay.
never would have saw myself working
Yeah.
a place in residential treatment. And I liked it. I really loved it. It gave me
Yeah.
a place to go, a purpose. It opened me up to so many different ways of healing modalities. I was very curious, and on my breaks, I would always be in the library reading the DSM criterias for all these mental illnesses, and I learned a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's fantastic. Um, Going back to Sean, what do you hope that people will take away from hearing Sean's story?
If anybody is struggling and you think they're full of it, never take even one, oh, I'm so depressed, I'm going to go do this and that. There's something, if someone's saying that, they're battling with something, even if it's a little thing, because those things grow.
Yeah, and even if they've like some of his relatives said to you like, "Oh yeah, he's done this before." I think
Hmm.
that when you said that, what struck a chord with me was like, okay, well, obviously I know now how it ended, but just because somebody has done something before and sort of not made
Hmm.
true on their word doesn't necessarily mean that
Right. Mhm.
this time is not going to be the final time, because it could be, and in his case it was, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, people were writing under his comments after, oh, you'll show up in a few days. Stop it. Stop playing with us. It was just horrible. And the internet is just such a bad place sometimes.
yeah, yeah, there can be a lot of toxicity, that's for sure. Yeah.
Yes.
um what do you hope people take away from hearing your story? And that's different from the last question I asked you, which was Sean's story. So what do you hope that people take away from your story? Because you're here and you went through, the loss of someone you loved, the utter shock and the grief, and then coming out the other side. So what do you hope people take away from your story?
I hope people will be a lot more kinder to one another and listen and not always talk over the other person. Really sit back and listen to what people are saying. You have to be a friend to have a friend. Is that the quote, or did I mess it up?
Yeah, no, I think it's, I think it's, you have to I can't even speak now. You have to be a friend to have a friend.
Have a friend. And it's so true. You have to be kind. Kindness goes so far. You never know when somebody is struggling. I've had people tell me over the course of the past few years, you took me out of a bad place. I go, I didn't even know you were in a bad place, just by being nice and thoughtful, considerate, and just what I did learn something. I always say this is one thing I took away working in treatment. The ego is not your amigo. So we need to let go of that sometimes, be present for people, love more.
Yeah, that's good when the ego is not your amigo. Yeah, that is a good one.
Yeah.
So this is a tough question for me to ask, but I've said before on the podcast that lemonade is not always sweet. Sometimes it's sour. If you like pulp, sometimes it's pulp free. If you don't like pulp, sometimes it's got a lot of pulp. So what's the lemonade in your story? You don't have Sean, but it sounds like there are many sweet spots that you've come to learn over the years.
There is. And whenever I'm struggling with something now, I just imagine his presence and what he would say, because he was such a great conversationalist and such a great listener.
Yeah, it sounds like he certainly was so wise and was a good friend.
Now that you say wise, he would call me Pueo, which means owl in Hawaiian. He goes, you're a little Pueo, like Pueo, I think it is.
You are.
Thank you.
You are. I didn't know him, but I do know that he would be so proud of you for telling his story. He really would be. Is there anything else that you want to share about him, about addiction, mental health, suicide, that you want to make sure that we include, that we haven't already talked about?
They all go hand in hand somehow, and just be there for people. Never take anything someone says for granted, or don't believe them, because if they're bringing up that conversation, they're struggling a little bit. So be that listener, be the one to take charge and try to get them help.
Yeah.
Reach out. If someone says they're going to kill themselves, call 988. At least they would be evaluated for 48 hours.
Absolutely. And we'll list all the important numbers on our social. If people want to get in touch with you, you're an amazing personal fitness trainer and you teach many different classes. Are you teaching yoga, by the way?
Yes, I teach a combination. Private yoga sessions.
Okay.
And I have a class going on in Burbank at the Circle called 10 to Zen. So I take when everybody walks in, if you're having a bad day, I will guarantee you will be sleeping on the floor by the time the class is over. Everyone falls asleep. I just want everyone to just be peaceful.
Excellent. How do people find you? You're on Instagram?
Yes, at Heart and Soul Fitness. You can just Google my name and it'll take you to my site, or AnitaPressman.com.
And I'll list all of your information to people to be able to get in touch with you. Thank you, Anita, for coming on.
Oh
for
my God, this
sharing.
has been a pleasure. And thank you for having me. And I love you.
I love you too. We'll have you on again for the next curveball,
Oh, yeah.
this was really I'm honored that you came on today and shared your story. Thank you.
I think it was the perfect time, 12 years.
Absolutely. It was. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Curveballs and Lemonade. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to follow and subscribe so you never miss a new story. New episodes drop every Thursday. Follow us on Instagram at Curveballs and Lemonade and on Facebook. For audio listeners, make sure to check out full video episodes on YouTube at Curveballs and Lemonade. Engineered by Robert Altschuler, Curveballs and Lemonade is produced by Command Creative Studios.